Hello and welcome to the September 3rd, 2025 update of the Hungry Strike for America and election news for 2026. Pretty good video this time. Unfortunately, I didn't lose a pound this week, so there's no update, no additional star on the official Hungry Strike for America sign behind me. But I did shave off my mustache as I promised I would. My wife thinks I look a lot better, but I do believe after I lose 3 pounds in 3 weeks in the future, as a positive reinforcement for me, I'll start growing my mustache again. I am wearing the same shirt I wore in the following photograph. This photo is a photo of a photo from many years ago when I weighed 38 pounds more than what I do right now. So that was 30 pounds more than when I started this journey. And here's a more recent photo of me 8 pounds ago in the same outfit, as my wife calls them. We're going to have a great time today. There are 3 important things that we're going to be going over with regard to the 2026 elections. 1, what's the actual update regarding redistricting of all the various states involved? Number 2, what the heck is going on in Democrat-controlled Fulton County, Georgia? They had lots of shenanigans with voting irregularities a few years ago, and they keep being a problem. I've got an update on that. And the third thing is some really positive news based upon a comment President Trump made this week in answering a question. And here it is.
We're leading because of tariffs. We're leading because of talent, and this is where they'd like to be. But without the tariffs, we wouldn't have a chance because we wouldn't be able to protect those investments of the companies coming in. So we're asking for an expedited ruling.
As a backstop to that, President, you have a Republican-controlled Congress. You control the House. You control the Senate.
Yeah, but we don't have 60 votes. We don't have 60 votes. I'd love to do that. Oh, if we had 60 senators, if we got the 60 votes, we would get them. But we need 60 votes, and we need, a certain number in the House.
So based upon that comment, I said, you know what, I've been planning on looking into the Senate races for next year. Can we get a filibuster-proof Senate next year? So I decided to look into it, and the answer is yes. A stretch goal for the Republicans for 2026 is getting a filibuster-proof Republican Senate. And here's how we'll do it. And before we actually talk about the Senate seats, we need to realize, and I will state the obvious, that everything has to do with President Trump and his wonderful administration, as well as all the actions he and they are doing. Getting a big majority in the Senate has everything to do with what President Trump is doing right now, his successes, his level of energy, his honor, his actions, his motivation, as well as that of everybody that's on his team. That is primary for getting a large majority in the Senate. Now on to the Senate itself. As background, there are 35 Senate seats up for re-election in 2026. 22 of them Republican and 13 Democrat. It would seem that it would be hard for Republicans to get a bigger majority, but that's exactly what they can do. Of the 22 Republican seats, 20 of them are solidly in the Republican camp. The 2 Republican seats with question marks are North Carolina, where Senator Tillis is retiring, and Maine, where Senator Collins is also retiring. Note that there are 3 other senators that are retiring, but their states are solidly Republican. In North Carolina and Maine, it's very possible with good candidates that even though they will be battles, that the Republicans will carry those states. So we should be able to keep all of our current Senate seats. And what is the primary way that we'll be able to keep those 2 Senate seats in Maine and North Carolina? As I stated at the beginning, President Trump and his continued great successes in making America great again. And where did we get the Democrat Senate seats to flip? Number 1 in Georgia. We should be able to beat him, and that will depend a lot on Fulton County, which we talk about elsewhere in this video. Retiring Democrat senators that Republicans can win in Michigan, Minnesota, and New Hampshire. So that's a group of 4 seats that Republicans can get. In each of these individual Senate seats, I'll be spending more time in future videos on them as we go across their states. Having said that, I've done a little bit of research, and I feel strongly that these seats are vulnerable for the Republicans to take. And that makes a total of 4 more that we're getting. And then there are 3 Senate seats, New Jersey, New Mexico, and Virginia. Knowing that President Trump loves a challenge and his team is very good, I believe that the Republican Party, with all the backing of these good people, can win the Senate seats that are going to be voted on in New Jersey, New Mexico, and Virginia. I believe America is turning to the Republican side. And actually, I do believe, based upon my, as of now, limited research, that there are other Senate seats that are vulnerable for the Republicans to take. But obviously more research is needed, and I'll be talking about this more in depth in future videos. It looks like everything is lining up that there could be a filibuster-proof Republican Senate. And even if there wasn't, we'll be getting so close to it, our majority is increased. And you know what? The Democratic senators up for re-election in 2028 would start feeling a lot of heat. Maybe they would start becoming, how can I say this, willing to go for what is right as opposed to what the Democrats want. So let's get into redistricting. Starting in California, if they approve the new House districts in November at their election, then that would give 5 seats to the Democrats. Illinois, it's not positive yet that they're going to do anything, but if they do, they'd gain 1 for the Democrats. Maryland, not positive that they'll do anything. There's only 1 Republican House seat there. But if they do something, they could get that one, and that'd be another one for the Democrats. If New York, if they do something, the results can't be used until the 2028 elections, so there's no impact there with the 2026 elections. And in Utah, even though it's a Republican-controlled state, there's been a lawsuit going on for several years regarding how the House districts have been drawn to favor the Republicans. Specifically, the city of Salt Lake City has been divided up into the 4 districts that they have. And the judge in the lawsuit has said, yes, you do have to redraw the House districts to give Salt Lake City, predominantly Democrat city, its own House district, reducing the number of seats for the Republicans by 1 and increasing it for Democrats by 1. Having said that, it hasn't gone to their Republican-controlled Supreme Court yet, so we don't know how that's going to turn out. And that would give a grand total for the Democrats of 8 new House seats, which means Republicans would lose 8 seats. Now, for Republican redistricting in Texas, it's all approved. Of course, there's been some lawsuits, but right now it looks like 5 more House districts for the Republicans is what we can count on. In Ohio, they're required by their state laws to actually do a redistricting, and that will probably result in 3 additional ones for the Republicans. In Missouri, they've called a special session, and that would give 1 additional House seat for the Republicans. Indiana, maybe, we don't know yet. Nebraska, maybe, we don't know yet. In Florida, we have a bunch of reasons to do redistricting, which will occur early 2026 in full support of the elections next year. One of the reasons is taking a look at how the Biden administration manipulated the data out of the 2020 census, which could have been potentially done, to screw over how many House seats were being added to Florida. The second reason is that Governor DeSantis has some interest in reviewing how the House districts are drawn based upon how the new population is in Florida after the 2020 census. Recall, a lot of people moved into our state as a result of COVID and the stupid laws up north. And then the third thing is there's a couple lawsuits, one that was settled in the Florida Supreme Court in favor of Governor DeSantis and his administration, which reduced the need to racially draw House district lines. And there's a big one on that subject going up in front of the Supreme Court. They've already looked at some of it last year, but last year they decided to move it to another hearing starting October 15th. This is a huge Supreme Court hearing with regard to elections. That comes out of the Louisiana state, and it's actually, the case is called Louisiana versus Calais, which means that could impact Florida. So in Florida, we could get as many as, say, 3 House seats. I think we can get a lot more, but we'll call it 3. And in Louisiana, depending on how the Supreme Court rules, they will probably redistrict and get at least 1 for the Republicans. So, bottom line is, for the Republicans, 13 more House districts will probably be gained for the Republicans in 2026. So 8 for the Democrats, 13 for the Republicans. That means a net gain by the Republicans of at least 5 House seats in 2026. I think that there's a lot bigger move going on in our country, so the number would be more. But then again, that has to do with my hunger strike for America. Pretty good. The Democrats have always done a lot of it. The Republicans did some, but not as much. Well, guess what? Now we're on an even playing field. I gotta tell you, that Supreme Court hearing on October 15th, it's a big deal, huge deal for democracy in this country. Next, what the heck is going on in Fulton County, Georgia? Well, here's the story. First of all, there was irregularities that went on in the last big election. Here's some clips.
Has a history of voting issues, and despite careful preparations tonight, another one causing a long delay for people processing thousands of absentee ballots. Joe Hankey is at State Farm Arena. Joe, of all the times for a plumbing issue.
That is right, Cheryl. Early this morning, we were told there was a water main break above the room I'm standing in here at State Farm Arena. And right now they are counting the absentee ballots, but earlier today, because of that water main break, they lost about 2 hours of work on the absentee ballot processing. So they are trying to make up that time.
Now, if I was a conspiracy theorist, which I am, you would think they did the plumbing leak so then they could make up the 2 hours by doing what? See the next clip.
Tonight, the Fulton County Republican Party is voicing concerns. Unsupervised counting happened at State Farm Arena last night. Andy Parati has more on this from Fulton. What are you hearing about this, Andy?
Hi, Cheryl. So about 30 minutes ago, I got off the phone at Zoom call, actually, with Trey Kelly. He's the Fulton County GOP chair, and he tells me that his party is very concerned with these claims, and here they are. Apparently, last night around 10:30, in the State Farm Arena area where they process mail-in absentee ballots, that for about 2 hours, no one was there with the exception of election workers, and they were concerned that they were unsupervised, that they didn't invite any of the Democratic Party or the Republican Party to join them watching these absentee ballots getting processed, and that includes scanning, eventually putting them on memory cards and bringing them here to be counted. Here's what he told me a short time ago, expressing his concerns.
Last night, I think it was around 11 to 1, I was told. Mm-hmm. They were told that everybody, a number of people went home, and as did our folks, and then, they kept counting for another 2 hours or so, and unsupervised, and obviously that's a huge problem.
Now, the county chair tells me that he did reach out to the county expressing their concerns. They have not received a response yet. I reached out to the Fulton County election chief asking for his response by text a short time ago, but have not heard back from them.
So what's going on now? Well, they're on the Fulton County Commission. There are 5 Democrats and 2 Republicans. They're the ones that appoint people to go on the Elections Commission. And the Elections Commission, of course, oversees elections in Fulton County. The Republicans have put forward 2 names of people to be put on the Elections Commission for Fulton County, but the Fulton County Commissioners themselves, 5 Democrats, 2 Republicans, the Democrats keep refusing to approve the seating of those 2 Republican nominees on the Elections Commission. There is a state law that requires that they do just that. In other words, to prevent shenanigans, of course, that commissioners, Republican or Democrat controlled, don't want to seat people on the Elections Commission from the other party. They're required to, by law, to put the people on the commission that are presented by the major parties. Having said that, this has gone to lawsuits, and the judge says, yes, thou shalt put those 2 Republicans onto the Elections Commission. They continue to refuse to do that, and they've appealed it. The judge gave them a $10,000 a day fine for not putting the people on the Elections Commission, but he did stay that until the appeal is heard.
Fulton County commissioners once again faced pressure today to approve 2 Republican nominees to the county's election board as a legal battle brews. But they avoided a decision, at least for now.
Fox 5's Tyler Fingert was at the meeting and joins us in downtown Atlanta to tell us what happened.
The 2 Fulton County Republican election board nominees were once again a topic of discussion today during the Board of Commissioners meeting. There wasn't a yes or a no vote, but take a look what the commission did instead.
Let me make sure everybody understands the motion on the floor. What we mean by a motion to table until the appellate court rules. That's a complete motion. Let's vote.
And the motion passes 5 yeas, 2 nays.
As you just heard there, in a 5-2 party line vote, Fulton County Board of Commissioners tabled the appointments of Julie Adams and Jason Frazier while the legal process works itself out. The 2 Republicans on the commission were against holding off on another vote for now, while the 5 Democrats voted in favor of it. Adams and Frazier's nominations have sparked sparked a legal battle with a judge ordering the commission to seat them and imposed a $10,000 day fine for non-compliance. That penalty is currently on hold pending appeal. Before today, Democratic commissioners had already rejected the nominees multiple times, citing concerns over their past actions. Adams refused to certify election results last year and sued the board. Frazier challenged the eligibility of thousands of voters. Republicans argue both are just defending election integrity. A judge recently ruled commissioners must approve qualified party nominees.
This is an extremely important situation. We don't know what's going on in the elections world right now without Republicans on the commission. Are there contracts being given out? Is there equipment being bought? Are there people being selected for important roles? All this stuff that maybe can't be undone when the Republicans get on the commission. This is a major problem. I'll be paying attention to that, seeing what we can find out with regard to Georgia doing the right thing in Fulton County. I say let's make a stretch goal for 2026 for the Republicans. 60 or maybe 61 senators who come from the Republican Party. What I'm suggesting here is after the 2026 elections, instead of having Trump speed, we could have Trump warp speed by having a filibuster-proof Senate and an improved majority of Republicans in the House. Pretty neat, huh? So here's the bottom line from this video. Shave my mustache. Redistricting will give us 5 House seats, filibuster-proof Senate. There are shenanigans going on in Fulton County, Georgia, to say it nicely. We can get a filibuster-proof Republican Senate and take our country to Trump warp speed. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for your time and your interest. Please continue joining me on my hungry strike for America. A wacko idea. Well, it's just like Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks running across the country. Why? Because. Just wanted to. God bless President Trump, God bless America, and God bless you.